What is up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here. Today we are out at George Ward Park and we are going to do a little bit of a recap because 2023 has been a huge year for the Robbie C channel, and I made a pretty important decision for I don't know, my personal life, but it's also had an effect on the channel when it came to the beginning of the year and how I was going to spend 2023. At this point, we're pretty much 9 months through that experience, and I want to let you guys know what are my thoughts and what I plan on doing for the last few months of the year just to try to finish out this goal and make it as most effective use of the year as possible. But before we dive into that, I have to ask the most important question of the day, and that is, how are you doing today, George? Are you having a good one?
So catch me if I fall.
So today's video is going to be all about going back to one of our classic Robbie C roots of playing and talking through the point at the same time. I've had some lower back injuries prevailing over the last week or so, and part of that I think is just because I've not been as active and out there lately. Spent a lot more time doing admin stuff behind the scenes, so trying to get out, play a little more. But the point of the video is that for those of you who may be unaware, or maybe you're newer, you just started playing in 2023 and missed this for the beginning of the year, something that I really believe in is I believe that competition is one of the best ways for you to take what you're learning and get out there and apply it. It's one thing to have the competition of you versus the course, because that's what golf is really all about. But getting out there and having the chance to say, I'm working on this concept, or I'm testing this throwing concept, and actually put it out there against other people, whether those be your friends or strangers you're meeting in a tournament, is actually kind of huge. Whew. First throw. It's gonna be pretty nice. Little piggy. I think it was in a disc golf, it was in a Facebook group maybe, but there was some post that came out and it was like, hey, why don't we see more content creators that actually get out there and compete in tournaments? I think they tagged me specifically and pointed out that oh, I hadn't been playing for the year 2023, because there are channels like Anthony over at Bedanza, whose channel is pretty much entirely about his experience playing tournaments and bringing you along for that in his disc golf journey. You've got people like Nate Turner, who are really good disc golfers, who are also bringing you along for that journey. And I would say that those guys who are playing tournaments pretty frequently are one end of the spectrum, and on the other end of the spectrum, you might have guys like the foundation guys, such as Hunter and Trevor, who don't play pretty much any tournaments year round. And then of course, sprinkled in the middle, you have people like Overthrow, who they play weekly sanctioned leagues. I'm actually not sure if Slingshot actually records any rounds playing disc golf, but maybe he does. I don't know. Coach T, if you do, or any of his people are here, let me know. I know Tai actually plays a lot, and he has a disc golf channel. And yeah, there are lots of people who fall in different places on the spectrum when it comes to, are you actually out there playing in tournaments, and specifically, are you playing in sanctioned tournaments? Which playing sanctioned tournaments has been a super big joy in my life and allows me to meet some really incredible people. And I think that taking that next step in your disc golf game to going out and playing sanctioned events is pretty fun, because it provides a couple outlets for you. Playing short, so we're gonna throw this pig on pretty much every hole. Shout out to Ricky Pinley for dyeing this R-Pro pig for me. We're gonna throw 2 shots because ideally we're gonna keep this video under 20 minutes. What perks do I think that sanctioned events have? Oh, that's so bad. That's got to get down the hill really fast. That's why the forehand works really well here. Let's try the turnover. Now that is down the hill. That's going to be tough to find. I think when you take the step to start playing sanctioned events, it's going to make you a better player overall, because you're going to find yourself in competitive outlets and pushing that pressure situation more and more, so that when you find yourself in the pressure situations more often, you're going to be able to actually succeed and compete in those situations. And then second, I think that it gives you, and second, something that's pretty cool, and a lot of people kind of hate this system, but I'm going to be honest, I may be on the rare end of things. I actually think the rating system is pretty solid, and it does give you a good view of your average. It may not be your peaks or things like that, so it can be kind of hard division sorting wise, but letting you know what you should expect out of your game, I think it's pretty spot on. So when you play sanctioned events, you're going to get a rating that sticks with you, that you can actually see how you've progressed as a player throughout time. I was afraid we're going to lose that pole kitty. Now, I will go ahead and admit that one of the tough things about ratings is that it sticks with you for a year. Oh, that was so bad. I like didn't commit at all on that. I don't know why. So the fact that your rating sticks with you for a year means that climbing with your rating, unless you're making huge swings in your ability to play, can be pretty tough. And the more rounds you put in, just like any average, similar to your grades when you were in school, if you have a lot of data points, it's a lot harder to move that needle of the average over and over again. So sure, you can skew the ratings in terms of I can only play like 2 or 3 events and play really well at those events. But I do think overall, if you have 20 to 30 points of data for what your rating is, it's probably pretty accurate to what kind of player you are when you're playing in those events. Bringing us around the corner to what did I decide that I was going to do in the year 2023, especially as someone who really loves playing at events. This next hole like actually records pretty poorly, and so it's like super downhill, really congested on the tee box, and as I round this corner here for a second, you're gonna see all the overgrowth that's on the tee pad. This is a park that if you ever come to Birmingham, a lot of locals are gonna tell you to play George Ward. Bummer, it's like technically the closest course to my house. We spend a lot of time here, but it's gotten really overgrown and really overlooked by the parks department, and because of that, it's not a great playing experience anymore. Still gonna have a nostalgic place in my heart because George Ward is basically where I learned how to play disc golf. But anywho, I made the promise to myself in 2023 that I was not gonna play any sanctioned events because I wanted to make major changes in my form and major leaps in my form, because I felt like as a person trying to play in the MPO division, my putting outside of the hole that you just saw is pretty decent, and my upshots actually feel pretty phenomenal. So I wanted to do something to try to increase my chances of scoring. Now, something we talk about often here on the channel is, okay, how far do you actually have to throw to shoot 900 rated golf? And I firmly stand by the experiment that 250 feet of accurate distance and make all of your putts 20 feet in, and you can play 900 rated golf. If you have those skills and abilities and you're not doing that, it's probably because of your decision making, and that's okay for you to acknowledge that, because honestly, acceptance is the first step. I knew that as a person who is very competitive, if I was still playing in sanctioned events and I was moving through the year, rather than giving myself the time to truly break my form completely down and try to basically rebuild it from scratch to try to achieve farther and better distances, I was never going to let any of that actually settle in if I knew, oh, I have a tournament around the corner, oh, I have this around the corner. I wanted to lean into the bad and actually be bad for a very long time. And if I'm being 100% honest with you guys, there were multiple points this year where I legitimately dreaded playing disc golf. My form was so bad, if I threw backhands, I had quite literally no idea where the disc was going to go. And as a person whose strength has never been distance, it's always been accuracy, precision, and touch, it kind of lost the joy of the entire sport for me. And I kind of just pushed through because this is my job and I needed to keep making content. All right, flippy mid time, or straight mid time. We got the Dune and the Hex doing their things. So, and knowing that I had 12 months to actually work on things and make adjustments on even how I start with my elbow position has been super helpful, because during those bad times, I still knew I had so much time to keep going and keep trying to implement those form changes. Some of the drawbacks of not playing sanctioned events are I have legitimately missed the ability to compete. I have missed those competitions, and I've missed, as someone who actually travels a decent amount for those tournaments, there are people that I basically only get to see during those sanctioned events. One of my moderators for the Birdie Fam, Steven, I meet him the last 2 years. I've gotten to hang out with him at Weapons of Grass Destruction over in Tupelo, Mississippi. But because it's a sanctioned event and we got a lot of things on the calendar, it didn't make financial sense for me to just go over and hang out for 4 days for this event when I'm not actually going to be playing in it. So because of that, I probably am not going to see Steven this year, which is a big bummer. And there are so many friendships and things like that. I'm beginning to joke around and play with friends on cards that I don't get to experience just because I chose not to play sanctioned events for 2023. Okay, power's good. It's the wrong direction, but power's good. We like that. Now, that's not to say that I haven't competed the entire time, because I've actually played, and at this point, I think it's 14 unsanctioned tournaments throughout the year, with several of those being doubles. And now that I say that, I actually did get to see Steven this year, because he actually came to Birmingham and we played in a doubles tournament together. And we actually shot a legit inside of the doubles event, 18 down, 18 birdies. It was pretty epic and a core disc golf memory. That just needs to hold straight for like a while. That's why, man, the dune is just nasty. Like you saw, I got up and it just held straight. That thing is so silly. Like, it's so good. Now, another reason though that I chose not to play sanctioned events during this year is I still wanted to make sure that I was getting the itch of competition figured out, get that vibe still going in me, so that I felt those pressure moments of wanting to compete and feeling the need to compete. That's why I didn't just kind of sit back and hope things would get better throughout the year. I really wanted to lean in and make sure that I was trying to improve. And that way in 2024, when I go back to sanctioned events, it wasn't going to be this, oh, I've just been throwing in a field for so long and working on my form, and I haven't actually been able to translate any of that over to legit competition, and it was gonna feel like an entirely different vibe. And then I could easily look back and think that the whole year was a waste because I wasn't actually practicing competition. But I'm gonna go ahead and say something that I think pretty much most content creators in the disc golf space are unwilling to say, even though it's probably true for them. I do actually care about my rating. I think in an effort to not look so bold, or in an effort to not look so serious about it, it's way easier to feign the, oh, it doesn't matter to me, it's not important, when it's not going well. To me, what a rating shows is, like I said, a good measure of, am I playing consistent, am I doing those things? But honestly, another reason that rating matters to me is, whether I like it or not, people are going to use my rating as a sign of measurement to the validity of my teaching. Do I think that I have to have an amazing rating? Do I think I have to be 1030 rated before I'm allowed to coach anyone? Absolutely not. Once again, the Heart of the Robbie C channel has never been trying to preach to people that I am the one who all MPO players should go to. Like, Ricky Wysocki's in a major slump right now, and I'm the guy that he should seek out to try to figure things out. No, that's never been me. But if Ricky wants to chat, hey, let's do it, man. I mean, I love that Ricky has a caddy on his bag right now who doesn't seem to be a professional level player, and is in fact giving him advice, because I think it just shows that you don't have to be able to execute at the top level to think about the strategy at the top level. But like I said, there are people out there, and trust me, I know they're out there, because when I'm playing sanctioned events, if I don't shoot, I would say at least 915, 920 rated golf, I get messages after every one of my rounds where I shoot below those ratings, of people telling me why I am a fraud and why I am disqualified or not qualified to be a coach, and why I should not be talking to cameras and talking to the person that's listening right now. So I care about my rating because as a competitor, I want to see it go up. And second, whether or not it is a fair assessment, it is an assessment that some people are going to use to the validity of the coaching. And simply because I may not have the rating that someone else thinks is worth it, the advice that we're trying to pass along in these videos may not get shared to other people simply because of that rating wall. So I want to improve my rating simply because I think it opens more doors and more opportunities for us to help other people improve their game one stroke at a time. And me going through the process of trying to improve shows that, hey, I've gone to where you are, where you're the person that can't throw more than 200 feet. I was there, I remember it, I can connect with it. And I also, when you cross that plateau and you find yourself trying to break the 400-foot plateau, I can say, hey, remember when we documented that entire journey, that entire process, and we're there for it as well. With taking a year off, the other thing about the rating system that's kind of weird is it technically kind of resets. Every single rated round that I've had that currently establishes my rating is going to drop off. So if I show up in 2024 and I play really good disc golf, my rating could take a huge jump, which could help that dramatic increase versus the slow climb that we have been experiencing for a long time. Now, of course, that calls into question something that we should all be asking, which is, so you did all those things and you're going to be playing in a few short months, you're going to be playing sanctioned events again. Was it actually worth it? have you actually seen improvements? I had my coach, Mike Strauss, come down for the month of May, and we had a little session, and that opened my eyes to something. Also, the tech disc that we talked about in that last video that you saw on Thursday, I think is also giving me some pretty easy realizations, and is taking, in just the short little time that I've had it, I've seen some increases in my output of performance as well, simply because there's so much actual data being wrapped around what I'm trying to work on. So while I don't think that I'm throwing the distances that I want to be throwing yet, I think the goal at the end of the year was a controlled 450, and I'm definitely not throwing a controlled 450 right now. I'm scratching 400 way more often than I ever have in the past. And we have moments like you just saw on the last hole where I'm throwing the hex and the power feels really good. I'm just trying to, right now, as I've increased the power, my range is here for accuracy, and we gotta bring that range back in. So things are working, and that's really helpful. And as for the competition, I think that I'm still trying to dial in the consistency of, let's say, what I expect to compete at a high level. I have really great flashes, and then my lows are still existent. If you look at some of the competition that I've been in, you have like Creators Cup last year where I played really well, all except for that final round for the first several holes, and then kind of was able to turn it back on. You go to Swanky Disc Golf's Survivor Series, where I played really, really good disc golf for pretty much the whole time until that last round or that last hole set where I decided to play my worst disc golf possible that day. So we have those flashes of success where we're seeing it, and I think it gets me really excited for seeing, okay, cool, we're hitting our distance easier, we're getting control slowly back. So I think it gets me pumped for competing this next year, but there's really only gonna be one way to find out if it's actually working. Gosh, that Zone OS is so overstable, dude. It's so fun. What a great disc. The Zone OS is in my bag replacing the Justice right now. We're gonna see if it actually sticks, because that Zone OS does not want to fly. But that PA3 sure does, doesn't it? Woo! Another fun little practice thing I do is, you know, if you get the chance to throw 2 shots, don't always take the best one. Take the worst one sometimes and see if you can score from there. Keep that putt warmed up. Yeet. Nope. That was bad. Here we go, Zani. So do I think taking a year off of sanctioned play was the move for me? Honestly, yeah, I kind of do. I think that it was a really refreshing time to kind of just figure out what I wanted out of disc golf. And I'm gonna be honest, I kind of really hate the phrase, those who can't teach, because I like to believe that I can both teach and can. Can you do the can you do the can you? I mean, I stand by, if I were to play with the average golfer, I think they would be surprised at how tall I am, and that honestly, like, we don't really edit a lot of stuff on these shots, so you would pretty much get exactly what you're expecting to see when you come out and play. And that's been our goal the whole time, is to teach beginners how to improve their game. But as I am trying to push my game to new heights, I want to bring you along for the journey, because as I learn those lessons and I teach others those lessons, it just helps improve the content, and it helps improve your experience, because once again, I'm doing all of this to hopefully help you improve one stroke at a time. Now, do I think that taking a year off of sanctioned events to try to improve your game is the move for you? Which is probably the most important question that we should be asking at the end of this video. And I would say, be careful. I'm not kidding when I said that during this year, I seriously questioned so much of, why do I even play this game? Why do I do this? Why did I break my form down? Because I lost it. Like, there was a point in the year where I couldn't have even gone back to my normal stuff if I wanted to. So having someone like Mike Strauss alongside to have so many disheartening messages sent to him and to be able to coach me out of it, super, super helpful. Having friends alongside me that are pushing me through it. Having my wife alongside me saying like, hey, I know you're frustrated. Let's do something else to distract you from disc golf right now. Really putting things in perspective. Just really helpful, that support and that community. So if you decide to do that, know that there's a very real chance if you put in the effort and you put in the work, you could see the results that you're looking for, and not having tournaments hanging over your back is a huge sigh of relief. But we still have 3 months left in this year, and my hope is now that I'm tasting it and I'm seeing that consistency, I'm seeing that power hit, things like that, that I can sort of dial those in over the next 3 months. And having the tech disc means that I had to spend even less time necessarily going to a field, because I'm getting immediate feedback. So I can have my 15 to 20 minutes of putting a day, as well as 30 to 40 minutes of throwing a day, and really dial in those statistics, which I think can be super helpful. In fact, I'll go ahead and let you guys know that we're recording this video on the week that Worlds just ended. And obviously this is coming out at the end of September when you're watching this now. And I'm not gonna be so bold as to say, man, there was a 958 rated guy that played in Worlds this year, and that's who I wanna be next year. But Worlds is at a course that I know and have played multiple times. And I think it would be pretty cool to be able to play in Worlds next year and to have the rating that gets me in, so that I'm maybe over 1,000 and people aren't looking at me going like, how did this guy get in? I don't know, it'd be interesting. Haven't really decided on that, but it is a motivator for sure to put in the time and the effort to keep working. But this video is definitely over 20 minutes now. I can already feel it. So we're not gonna play the rest of the holes. We're gonna play this last hole because we don't have a first shot ace on the channel. So we're gonna give it one last run. It's a pretty cool hole, and we're gonna wrap it there. First shot ace is the only one that matters. There is like an actual, the tee pad points this way because the fairway wants you to go around, but there's like these little trees that are kind of overgrown. They've gotten bigger and bigger as the years have gone on, so this has just turned into the route. I know people that take this route, or they stand on the back of the tee box over here and then throw around this big tree right here. But we're going Ricky Finley pig, hang it out over the bridge, let it crash in, island hole. It's on an ace, but should be a pretty easy birdie. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you have an amazing rest of your week. And seriously, thank you for coming along for this journey. I don't pretend to have all the answers, and this year has definitely been a different one from the competitive standpoint. And I'm excited to get back into sanctioned tournaments as well, because not only is it a really cool opportunity for me to learn, but I get to meet a lot of rec players and novice players as well out there. I get to walk along with your cards, which is where I get a lot of inspiration for the content that we do here on the channel, so I can see actual players that are your skill level struggling and see what we can help with. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, if you have any ideas of content that you want to see, let us know in the comments below. I read every comment and I'm getting all choked up. Here we go. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Please make it fantastic for someone else too. But for now, we're gonna leave you with the birdie.